Well,
Hello.
hello, or should I say, hola?
Or should I say, Happy New Year?
Oh my goodness. I can't believe it's
2024.
already here.
I mean, it's not for us because we're in the past.
Right. But
We're
for all you
speaking
listening.
we're speaking from 2023, but
Yes.
if I know Sarah, and I think I do, she's optimistic. Things are looking up 2024.
Yes. Things really are, because I've talked a lot with Eli about our themes and how
Yeah.
you do a theme, and we have settled on a joint theme for the year.
All right. Do you want to share it?
Yeah, it's stretching.
Oh my God, I love it. I love a multifunctional word.
Right? Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Was
so
yours
layered.
metaphorical
It's deep.
or literal?
Literal, but I can go metaphorical with it. We need to stretch more. Every single time we do an activity, we're like,
You're like, we're just
old.
stiff, Suze.
We're just stiff, right? And Lucas wakes up, my little brother wakes up in the morning and does like Tai Chi, like calisthenics, like he's like whipping his arms around and like doing weird neck movements and like, I gotta be like him.
Favorite. Yeah, no, this is a great word because it can be literal.
Yes.
And what a great goal we could all do, which is like just stretch the old body.
And don't you feel like it's like what you say, rising tide floats all ships, that if we are stretching and more in touch with our body as we go to bed, we're probably going to use it more during the day and be more connected to it. So it'll probably increase our physical activity just as a byproduct of doing this.
Well, and you'll probably listen to your body more and be in tune with it.
I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's a good choice. And
Thank you,
also,
Suze.
what a fun double meaning, because maybe you'll do something out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And you'll be like, what? I'm stretching over here, 2024.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, universe.
A whole bunch of stuff.
I would like to let the universe know what you are not interested in is stretching in a way that is painful.
Right. No stretching our budget. No stretching, nothing like that. I want to be real clear. We mean a positive stretching towards growth and positivity through healthy and wonderful means.
We don't even want to like stretch out our sweaters or
no
like,
necklines.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
Okay, I'm glad we were clear. Initially, my word was when I thought I was going on the challenge 40. I thought, what a perfect word. I'm going to have the word of my year be challenges and like be doing things that are hard, but like I ought to be doing and push myself. And then they didn't pick me. So I thought, well, fuck that. So I still haven't really decided. And technically speaking, I have a couple weeks, even though listeners think it's the future right now. So there are some options, but all of them are going to be hard. And I wanted to express how, like, I've been doing these themes for a long time, and I've had music and comedy and love. All these were themes I've had. Yes. And that you might notice that I'm still doing all of those old ones. I still am like constantly going to comedy shows, constantly going to music concerts, constantly trying to be adventurous even when I don't want to. Yes. And that's why the theme thing is so great.
Yeah.
Is because you don't stop.
Yeah, you just build on top of it. It becomes like your new foundation, which is why I wanted to do something like stretching, because it's something that I want to create for the rest of my life, because it's really, we're at like the if you don't use it, you lose it kind of age.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
I mean it. That's what like the Pump Club is all about.
Well, you helped inspire me with that, because when you were like, oh, I'm making gains, Sarah, I was like, oh shit, I better be doing something.
You know what though? I think I might be wrong, because I like was trying to bait compliments from Adam, and I was like doing like muscle poses and
You're
stuff.
You're posing
like,
in the mirror.
I go, do you think I look any? And he was like, oh, and I was like, why are you pausing?
Whoa, too much of a pause, sir. It's already been too long.
So I was like, I think I better get things going even more, because he had to think about that.
okay.
Okay,
Are
it's
you
all
focusing
right.
too much on upper body? Do we need to work on lower? Do we need more
No,
squats instead of
actually, I
butt
think
thing?
that's the whole problem is that
Oh.
there's so much of the squat and thigh shit that, like, you don't really see that too
Yeah, you
much.
don't. You don't. It's more functional.
Yeah, and
It's
I was
like,
like,
I can walk up a bunch of stairs and I don't get winded. That's it. Nobody
yeah,
sees that.
boo! I'm not looking for
Right.
that.
That's why everybody was like, Sarah's going to be terrible at the challenge, but they didn't know these thunder thighs get you up a hill.
Yeah, right.
And it was like, surprise, all the tiny girls are stuck at the bottom and we're still going, but nobody noticed them because it doesn't look like that.
Yeah, you have to like just be satisfied internally and not rely on external validation. Boo!
Boo!
Anyway, it's all about progress and it's all about one foot in front of the other. So happy New Year
Suze.
to you
Happy
and
New Year.
all the Brainiacs.
Yes. 2024. Woo!
2024. I truly cannot believe. I know we talk about it a lot, but like we've been doing this a long time, Sarah.
So long. It's never going to stop.
Okay.
Ever, ever, ever. There's always so much to talk about. Are you kidding me? I got stories for centuries.
Do you want to save your story about vacation for your episode next time?
Ooh. No, I mean, hey, I would love to share a little bit about today.
Yeah, give us an appetizer.
Yeah, a little appetizer. So I was thinking, it's Eli's birthday, right? And this guy has the stuff. He's like, if he wants something, he's going to get it, you know? And he's a guy who likes doing things more than stuff. So for his birthday, I planned this trip 6 months ago. I booked this. I found this spot where we're going 6 months. Susie, you know how bad I am at keeping secrets, and especially when it's like a gift for somebody, how I have to tell them. I had to tell you what I got your son for Christmas, like in October, because I couldn't hold it in. I'm so bad. I've been sitting on this surprise for Eli for 6 months. So for his birthday, I got him 3 days of both of us, of kite surfing lessons at the top kite surfing school in Tulum. And we, this morning, did our first 3-hour lesson with the instructor and got the kites in the air. We're flying them. Like, it is a
You're
full
gonna
body
think
workout.
I'm a real
It is
dum-dum, but like,
amazing.
just so we're clear, can you tell me what it is exactly?
I think that's a very good question because windsurfing, kite surfing, foil surf, it's all looks very similar. So kite surfing is where you're attached to what kind of looks like a wakeboard, and you have 2 little straps that you can stick your feet in, and then you use a kite. So some of them are boards that have a sail attached. That's windsurfing.
Okay.
And this is kite surfing. So you are attached to 4 cords, 2 power cords that attach to your body that are like where all the strength comes from. It's like you're flexing your abs the whole time. And then you use
Is the kite like above your head or in your hand?
Yes. It's above your head. Yes. Above your head, many, many feet above your head. And it's basically like, you know those cool trick kites that you see people fly that are like dipping and diving and doing cool stuff?
Yeah.
It's like that, but you're attached to a board. And the cool thing about this is once you have the kite like handling skills down, you can do this on water, you could do this on land, you like with a snowboard or skis, like you go to a big open area and you
take your snowboarding to the next level.
And let me tell you, Eli wanted to do like squirrel suiting and that shit where you jump out of an air of a, and I was like, no,
calm down.
You are not allowed.
Evel Knievel.
No chance. The failure rate on that is way too high. How about you get the experience of flying, but we're like over water and you only go like 6 feet in the air if you want to jump.
And I mean, a stroke of genius to buy a gift that you get to. I mean,
I know.
This is a lesson for all of us about gift giving.
And I
Okay, well, let's dive in, shall we?
Yeah.
I think this is such a fascinating thing that I never thought of, but you'll totally get it. There was this really cool article in The Atlantic about, let me ask you this. How old do you feel like in your head?
22.
Like what?
24.
22.
Maybe 20. Maybe it's a little bit smarter than 22. It's like 24, 25, 26. That is
That
the
is so
sweet spot
funny.
for me.
Okay. Well, it's almost like people probably think we like plan stuff ahead.
Never. Please. You think we have?
No,
I've
we
been
don't. We're not that
kitesurfing.
organized.
What? I don't have time.
I can't get a hold of her. Okay.
Right. I'm in Mexico. Please.
I'm lucky she showed up for this Zumo. Okay, so this article explores the concept of that idea, and first of all, just what a strange idea it is. Like nobody ever says, like, you know how tall I feel? I'm only 5 feet, but I feel like I'm 6'2". Like that's not a thing,
right?
And so the idea that you would feel an
Except for
age other,
Thumbelina or something.
yeah, it's like this weird thing where like you feel.
Yeah, we just feel
The
our
concept
age.
of age or
and it's
what an age
interesting because
is.
when I was younger, I felt older.
Okay, Sarah, did you write this article?
No, I did not.
The article describes, and they've done studies on it, about how when you're younger, you feel older. And when you're older, you feel younger. But guess what age it kind of shifts?
What?
25.
Oh my gosh. Did I write this article?
For real.
Wow.
And
yeah, literally.
What's cool about it is everyone knows what you mean when you talk about this, but then they've done such a great job of like synthesizing what's happening.
Where did you find this article?
This was in the Atlantic.
Oh, I love the Atlantic for this kind of stuff. This is really cool. Okay, tell me more.
Yeah. So like they talked about how part of it is like when you're younger, there's optimism. And so like you're kind of like looking forward to like what's going to happen? Who am I going to be? What am I going to do? And so you're like almost there in your head. Like I am 25, I'm 30, whatever.
Right.
And then when you get old, well, you look back and think, boy, those were fun days.
Yeah.
And so you're always sort of like longing for something other than what you have. I mean, that's just human nature. But then it talks about how like there's this sweet spot, like where you want to have vigor, but also maturity.
That was exactly what I was thinking. It's almost like your mind is where maybe it helps you like societally or like to be, if you're thinking that you're a little bit older, maybe it makes you act in a way that like, I don't know, you like raise yourself up.
Yeah.
To meet that more like average age, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're older, you kind of maybe connect. When you hang out with like, if you've ever been around like an old person, you bring like a kid around them and they're like, I just feel so young when I hang out with it, It like makes me feel so young I think it's a little bit of that, of like we need to kind of find that middle ground sweet spot.
Yeah. And that you want energy.
Yeah.
So you want to feel like excited, but then you don't want to be a cuckoo crazy teenager or something. You want to have like the sensibility and maturity to like handle life. So anyway, the sort of like shift when people start changing which direction they imagine they are is around 25, but it's not always that way. Like some of it is about like what happened in your life at certain times. So like we've talked about this, like if you suffer trauma at like a young age, sometimes you like get stuck there.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize people kind of realized it. They knew that.
I did not either. Because I think in my case, it forced me to grow up faster. So I saw myself as older.
It's so funny though, because one of the key words I would use to describe you is childlike.
Right. But I'm childlike at about 10, maybe 10, 11, 12. When I was 7, 8, 9, or like younger, I think I don't know.
You had like a worldly like cynicism.
Yeah. Yes. I was like, oh,
like this fucking sucks.
Right. Yeah.
I thought one of the funniest parts, maybe because it's relatable to me, is that it says like, if you're 30, you should be aware that for better or worse, like the 50-year-old you're talking to thinks they are roughly your age. So like if you're about 50 and I'm 44, but like, I'm getting there. I think like I'm super cool. you know, like talking to these
Yes.
kids.
Yeah.
Like, we're the same. Like, even my nephews, which are like 20, I'm like, they'd see what I'm bringing to the table. They don't see it.
No, they don't.
They see
I feel
an
that
old
way when I
lady.
hang out with Eli's nephews. And I'm like, and then they were like quizzing me on like what certain words mean. And I was like, oh my God, they're asking me because they think I don't know because I'm
what if
old.
you're like, for shizzle, I know what that means.
It's like, no cap. What?
It's so pathetic.
It's so terrible. Why are we this way?
It said, when they did a study where they asked, this was theologians asking people, how old are people in heaven? There was a number that came up most
32.
frequently. 33? How are you this good at it?
Because I just feel it.
Jesus was 33 when he kicked the bucket?
That feels like, maybe, I don't know. But that feels like the age that we should be. You're smart enough to like know better, but you're not too like, you're in that those are the golden years, really.
Well, and when I started reading the article, I thought, okay, how old do I feel? What would my answer be? Like before I read the article? And my answer was 32. And then I realized like that was when I gave birth. So it was like, you want it. It's almost like after I had a kid, like I became like just a conduit for someone else's progress. But up until that, I had my own identity and life.
It was just you.
So 32 was like the sweet spot for me before everything went fucking downhill.
Hear that, Lincoln? No, we love you.
But like, I don't know, your number's 25 or so. Yeah,
it's like,
mid-20s.
Like 25, 26. Like that's like in my head because I think when I say like, oh, how old are people in heaven kind of thing, it's like 33 because that feels like, the age where you haven't figured out. But so often I find myself like doubting myself or being like feeling like, oh man, you made such a stupid mistake, or I can't believe you did that. You're so aware of your own faults and own like things you don't know, I guess. Yeah. That is what drops that maturity level down in my mind when I imagine like, I feel 26 because a 33-year-old would not forget to put the laundry from the washing machine to the dryer.
Well, that thing too about how we keep learning and realizing how dumb we are.
It's like the more I know, the more I don't know. And if that ain't the worst thing.
Yes. I'm going to give you more info about this, but some numbers we can all agree on is how much we've saved using Rocket Money. What
are you doing? If you don't have this?
Yeah.
Right now.
Resolution. Stop it.
Get right there. Right now, it's the perfect time.
Download
Start the
Rocket
year
Money.
By knowing about your finances. Stop spending a whole bunch of money on subscriptions that you don't need. I did not know I had 2 subscriptions to Paramount Plus.
No, and I think you were logged into mine. You just couldn't get enough.
Peacock.
Oh, okay.
I had 2 subscriptions. 2 under 2 different email addresses. And then Rocket Money was like, hey, this subscription just went up $5.99. And I was like, oh, that's because I signed up for it again because I didn't know I had it. Thanks so much. Cancel. Yes, that just happened 2 nights ago.
Yes. See, that's just one small example. They are constantly keeping track of all of your ding dong moves. And it's really not even your fault because these trials and stuff are designed for you to forget about them. Yes. And so they're like, not going to let that happen. And then you won't waste money. Plus, they negotiate like your bills to be lower if it's like insurance or cable or whatever. They do the dirty work. You don't even have to do it. Right. It's so empowering. Such a great way to start the year. As Sarah said last time, you can like save yourself so much trouble at tax time too. Yes. Because you can like categorize and all that stuff. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spendings, and helps lower your bills. Has over 5 million users and helps save its members an average of $720 a year with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/braincandy.
Those subscription companies must be so mad at Rocket Money.
That's rocketmoney.com/braincandy, rocketmoney.com/braincandy. I know, they probably, or /braincandy. They're probably like, Rocket Money.
Yeah, they're like, oh, God, they got another one. Damn it.
Okay, here is some other fun little bits from that article before we move on. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay. First of all, we have as humans like an outsized number of memories from the age of 15 to 25. And they say that that's why you love music from the ages that you were, or the years
that's like the bulk of our memory. Is that it?
I think it's because it's like you're becoming an adult. So it's almost like how babies learn so much in that first year. Like from 15 to 25.
You're like absorbing it all.
Yeah. And you're like learning how to drive and dating and getting a little separated from your parents and being independent and forming an identity. And so like your brain is exploding.
Sense that the soundtrack to those big pivotal moments that like form your identity would be ingrained in there.
Yeah.
And like the things that would make you happy, or the music that brought you comfort, or
just
that makes
happy
sense.
memories or whatever. And so that's why you love that music from those years when you were 15 to 25. And then
I even like the food when I go back to, I'm like, sometimes you just have some top ramen for no good reason. It's like, oh, that hits the spot.
Right. I was a Kraft mac and cheese kind of gal.
Oh, yeah.
Same diff. And
So
like
good.
it said that the discrepancy between chronological age and perceived or like internal age was the greatest, that gap, in the US, Western Europe, and Australia. Asia was much smaller. Africa had the smallest. And they said it could be read as like an economic sign, like poverty could play a role, but also culturally, like, collectivist societies value, they have more respect for like, older
the elderly,
population,
the aging population
so they might be more comfortable being 50, 60, 70,
Yes.
whatever it is, where we're like, I'm 25.
Right, we're chasing youth over there, like holding on to that.
Yeah, so that was totally great.
I bet that would probably line up with the amount of people who like lie about their age on their driver's license or things like that, or can't do it on there, but
do you
like
find that
lie
funny
about your
when
age.
people lie?
Yes, I do.
Like,
because like what?
We have eyes,
right? And if you like tell me that you're younger than you are, I'd be like, you should.
Well, you look like garbage.
Right.
I got bad news for you.
Bad news.
I don't get that. I get being
I'll
sad
tell everybody
about
I'm
it.
82.
Right. You really should.
Yeah, I was watching Below Deck, my new show that I'm obsessed with, and because I talked about that it's so good, so I'm still watching. And one of the gals on there, when she was asked by one of the other deckhands, like, "Oh, how old are you?" She's like, can you believe it? 52.
For real. Okay, what is the age?
She was not. She was like 23 or something like that. It was very funny.
What do you think the age is that you could say where it's way older than you are, but still like they'd be like, huh?
I bet I could get away with like 44.
I think I could do 58.
No,
I really do think
way.
that. Like, cause I have enough like Botox and shit where it's like kind of like
maybe somebody be like, you pulled them tight.
You're 20 or 70.
Right. Yeah, I still need a little bit more work to pull that off.
What do you think's the youngest age you could say and get away with it?
Oh, I don't think I can look very young because of it's just like sun damage. It's like you just tell. I think the youngest I could probably get would be, how the fuck old am I? 32 maybe?
I think you could go.
You could also get 32.
No, I think you could go younger though.
I think you could. People think we're the same age.
Nobody thinks that. Zero people.
Yes,
but
they do.
Bless your heart for saying it.
I think that all the time.
Yeah, you're like everyone, meaning you.
Everyone, me.
Oh, God.
Like Susie looks younger than me. We're a before and after photo, but I don't know. Yeah, like which is the after.
I do think it's interesting how you almost lose a perception of like, what do I even look like?
Yeah. Well, it kind of fades with like, how old am I? The only time I get a really harsh reminder is when I see somebody driving who I think should still be in diapers. I'm like, why is that infant behind the wheel?
Yeah.
And then that instantly makes me realize how old I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, fuck. And then when we were walking down the street last night, it was like 5:30. And, people on the street in like Tulum are like, oh, come to see our bar, come upstairs. So we go upstairs to take a look at one. And instantly I was like, too old for this. I'm out.
What was going on in
people.
there?
It was just the lights were a lot.
You were like, this is overwhelming.
Right. It was like a black light. I was like, Eli, I feel like I'm on drugs and I'm totally sober and I can't. This is not for me.
So funny.
And like, it was too loud. And it just felt like, there were a bunch of those places to pose for Instagram pictures with like wings behind you and shit.
Wow.
And I'm like, nope, this ain't this. I am officially too old.
You graduated.
Yeah.
I guess it's good to know.
Where's the old people? Party zone.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, at least you know.
Do you think it changes at all if you are the youngest or oldest in your family? Because I wonder if I felt older because I was the oldest, and if you held on to maybe some of that feeling younger because of being the youngest.
I almost feel like it's the reverse, where I was always around older people. Like my oldest brother is 13 years older than me. So I do prefer older people. So it naturally
matures you a little bit. Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, that would make sense.
My first husband was 10 years older than me. Everyone on my road rules was way older than me. I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
But now I'm old and I know it. It hurts.
Who's your youngest friend?
You.
How old is your youngest
37.
friend that you like hang out with regularly? Me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. For sure. And Link.
Yeah. And Link.
My best buddy. Okay. Gretchen, my sister, recommended another great doc. I think it's called The Preppy Murder.
The Preppy Murder?
Yeah, or like The Preppy Murderer. I should look up the full title. It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Let me see what it's called. Okay, The Preppy Murder, Death in Central Park. That's the name of it. I hadn't heard of it, and I hadn't heard of this murder, but in the sort of beginning of the series, it says that before OJ, this was like the trial of the century. It was some big deal.
Huh.
But really, it was only a big deal because the murderer, the alleged murderer, is like drop dead gorgeous. He's like, looks like a movie star. And the situation was that he allegedly killed this young girl. She was 18. He was like 20 or so. And she was wrecked. Like her body was just like the shots that they show of her, the crime scene. It was just like, what happened to this woman? But he claims that it was like rough sex gone bad. But more than that, he claims he was raped by her, and that he said no and she wouldn't stop. And so he was like, had no choice but to like defend himself. And it's insanity. Like,
and what, people just believe him because he's a good looking?
Yes, and white,
Oh God,
and sort of wealthy, like this prep school, like handsome guy that everyone wanted.
He plays the victim role,
and so he's almost like leveraging the fact that all these women like wanted him, which I'm sure is true. But I just wanted people, Brainiacs, if they watched it, like, or they do watch it, to tell me like whether they think there's any chance that he was telling. I mean, there's zero chance, but I still want to know if anyone's like, yeah, it could have happened.
Okay, I want to say this.
It's wild. You just like, I can't get it out of my head because you just keep thinking like, I can't believe he's saying this. And even in the questioning, like the cops are like, okay, but she's dead and you're not. like you're going to play the victim? And she was a tiny girl and you're 6'3" and like 200 pounds.
Oh, come on. Nope. I'm sorry.
Ridiculous.
No.
It's totally fascinating. Please. But I liked.
Have you ever tried to wrestle the remote out of your partner's hand?
For real. Or get them like to stop tickling you like when you're in high school.
Right. Forget it.
Mm-hmm.
Forget it.
He's
I
a
don't
victim,
care.
Sarah.
Yeah, okay.
I'll,
This is like I can't.
you probably need a palate cleanser after that, and that is why you should try instead something that we all love, which is Dipsy Stories. Now that is sex we are into.
That's like the opposite. That's gonna make you calm, make you
Hot and
relaxed,
bothered.
make you ready.
Yes. What a great way to start the year too. Am I right or am I right? Get in the mood.
Oh, that could be your year of pleasure.
Well, you should check and see if they have any stretching ones.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, bend over. Do you need help stretching this? I guarantee there's a yoga instructor one.
That is so true.
Please.
Well, because Dipsy Stories is great because it's made for women by women, and you put in like the quiz, like what you're into, and then they will show you stories that can like soothe you or put you to sleep or get you revved up if you want to be with your partner.
The very first time after taking the quiz, they were like, would you like this camping video? I was like, okay, you know me too well.
Whatever science they did,
get out of my bedroom.
Algorithm, it's doing the right stuff. And for listeners of the show, Dipsy's offering an extended 30-day free trial when you go to dipsystories.com/braincandy. That's 30 days of full access for free when you go to dipseastories.com/braincandy. dipsystories.com/braincandy. They have like real good voice actors too. They know what's up. Good work, Dipsy.
It matters. Yeah.
Okay, Preppy Murder on Amazon Prime. Check it out. Okay, there was a really fun article in the New York Times about how to win Wheel of Fortune.
Oh.
Wheel of Fortune. I used to watch with my grandma. And,
Same.
Did you? So nice.
I feel like that if you had a grandma... Did you even have a grandma if you didn't watch Wheel of
Jeopardy
Fortune?
And then Wheel of Fortune. It was a doubleheader, 7 and 7:30. And because my grandma lived next door to us, so we'd go down there every evening and watch those things. And I loved them. Apparently a lot has changed with the wheel since I was a viewer, though. Maybe you know this, though, because I feel like you're more in... No? Well, like, you know, at the end, what's that thing called? Like the
Showcase Showdown? No. That's something else.
That's Price is Right.
It's something like that.
It's called... What the heck's it called? The bonus round.
Solve the puzzle on your own. The bonus round. Okay. RSTLNE.
You got it. Well, so in the early days, they didn't give them any letters at all. And then everyone picked RSTLNE. And so then they were like, you can have those. Pick different ones. And so that's how that was introduced, that feature. But this is something I never thought about, is how, like, you're not competing against, like, I don't know, past players or, like, even yourself. Right. You're competing against producers who come up with what is going to be there. And so they don't want you to win, really, because that's expensive for the show. And so there's an element of, like, they're not rigging it, but...
Right. Well, it's kind of like how I play Hangman. I always pick the same word and nobody ever guesses. And it's actually like not even fair. You know my secret word? I'm going to tell you. It's zucchini. We have minimal letters that people don't often pick.
This is so great.
Because you're going to guess A-E, and then now you've already run through 2. Then you're going to guess an O. You already got 3 vowels done. Nobody guesses the Z. And then... we only have a few Z-U-C-C. We don't have enough letters.
Do you ever, like, get tired of winning at it? Or are you, like, every time you're psyched?
Absolutely not. Because I'm usually playing against, like, a 6-year-old.
And you're like, suck
like a 7-year-old. And I'm like, suck it. You suck at this. Be better.
Sarah.
Sucks to suck.
This is classic. I'm loving this. Okay.
Nobody's going to watch. I've told you too much. I've said too much.
There are clues that Sarah's actually the asshole and I'm the nice one. And this is one of them.
It's like that.
Because you don't even care. You're happy to kick their ass.
Yes.
Wow. That's a great word, though. Okay, zucchini.
Right?
And
zucchini. Nobody ever guesses. I'm telling you, all you moms out there, dads listening, play with your kids.
Yeah. Watch them cry.
I promise you, watch them cry. You're welcome. Or kids listening. Do this to your parents.
Okay. Well, I think that you would make a great Wheel of Fortune producer then, because I think there's an element of that where so then once they added that feature where they gave you RSTLNE, then they had to change the puzzles to make it still harder, right?
Less of those letters.
Okay.
Right.
Then there's a feature that I did not know. They added where like the contestant gets to pick the category. Did you know that?
What? I have not heard that.
So like this article was like telling you which category to pick.
What categories
they recommend instead of choosing things or thing, you should choose phrase.
Oh, because it's going to be something common that we all know that we've heard before.
Let me find what it says, because like that was like a tip of the century for me.
Yeah, choose a phrase, because then you're gonna, if you get a few words, or a few letters, you can. It's like a bird in the hand, or it,
right,
stuff like
and
that.
Your brain can access that sort of like,
and it could fill in the blanks versus something that's completely, what's the word? Like it could be anything. It's like
right. So yeah, they said phrase is the answer. Phrase is the category that will give you a fighting chance. Other categories like food and drink have slightly higher win rates, but they are uncommon. So they said food and drink's all right. Phrase is good. The worst is thing or place.
Oh.
And then it says
place we think geographical location. We think it's going to be the Grand Canyon.
But it'll be like bird's nest.
And place is right. Or it'll be like
kitchen.
I don't know. Yeah, refrigerator drawer.
Right.
Where you're like, what? That's not a place. That's a but it is. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I can see
they get loosey goosey, but you can't do that with a phrase. Yeah.
No, you can't, because they're the phrase that pays.
Then it says, don't expect the puzzles to make sense. 40 seasons have pushed producers towards stranger and stranger constructions. So they're getting like,
why don't they just go back to the beginning? We're not trust me, the grandmas that were watching it in the 80s ain't around anymore.
Right. Like it says,
just use the old ones.
Yeah, come on.
It'll be like 3 people on the spectrum who happen to know everything, and the rest of us will be scratching our heads.
It says
it'll be just like Price is Right.
Like in recent years, puzzles have become more distinct with constructions like a box of goodies or wooden flower boxes, as if that's a thing. That people say.
I mean, it's not a thing people say, but like I've purchased wooden flower boxes.
Right, but it's not. You're not like.
Common. It's not like if you were nobody's gonna think of that, right?
I get it. Like,
yeah, kite surfing in Mexico.
Yeah, Mexican kite surfing. Yeah.
Yes.
I
see that. I see that. Yeah, I get it, but I'm kind of into it. It is enjoyable when they don't get it.
What?
Like I want them to get it. It's not like enjoyable, but
again, asshole.
I know. See, it's the problem. It's like. I mean, I'm disappointed for them, but it's more fun to watch.
For real?
When they don't get it, and you're like, oh,
I find it so dissatisfying.
And then they all flip it over, and yeah, it is.
But you
like
love
that.
it.
Okay, maybe
wow, I'm learning so much about you.
Like it a little. I know. Geez,
it does say that there are a few words you should memorize because the producers love them.
Okay. Zucchini.
Koala.
See, a lot of vowels and not a lot of consonants.
Yeah, like fluffy koala.
Because people are going to guess consonants.
Wombats and koalas, baby koalas, young koala, cuddly koala, right? Sarah, you're right.
Koala, because you have very limited. If you have a word with a lot of letters, but there are a lot of spaces, but doesn't use very many letters, that I feel like is the real sweet spot. Because if they get and you make them not RSTLNE. Mm-hmm. The other one, like
you got it.
Zucchini. Well, you get the N with that.
Oh, well, that's true, but it still would be really hard. It ends in an I.
Really hard. Right. That's the thing that throws you off. You never think it's going to end in an I. And then somebody puts the I on there, you start thinking, what the hell is that?
Right.
And the CH in the middle is no.
Yeah, she's really selling us on this Hangman strategy.
Is there H in zucchini? No, ZUCC.
Yeah, there
okay.
is.
Yeah.
And there's also an H in athletic greens, which is now known as AG1. So they could screw you with that on Wheel of Fortune too.
Ah,
Those tricky
did you have
bees.
your AG1? Yes, I did.
Well,
how the heck do you think we're staying good? And also, anybody knows if you travel internationally, sometimes the tummy ain't so right. So we got to do everything to maintain that good gut health and good, like, everything, keeping things like
yes, that
on
is
the
so
train.
true.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I do. I think about
Yeah.
this way more than the average bear because of my issues. So trust me, I get it. Because the AG1, they prebiotics, probiotics, probably like another kind of biotic. I don't know. Digestive enzymes, gut health, keeps everything moving and grooving. And also just the routine of it. And this is what I always encourage people at the beginning of every year is this. Like even in the Pump Club, they talk about it's not about inspiration. It's just about routine.
Yes.
Do it every day where things become automatic. And that's really the key to like lifestyle changes.
And then you miss it when you don't have it.
That's right.
And that's the best feeling because it feels like, oh, I need to be doing this healthy thing for my body.
Yep.
Wow, doesn't it feel good to like crave that?
It's not a burden. It's like I want more of the good thing.
Yes.
Yes. AG1's the supplement we trust to provide the support our bodies need daily. That's why they've been our partner for so long. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/braincandy. That's drinkag1.com/braincandy. Check it out.
My prediction, since we've done this podcast for 10 years about, and I think we're going to do it for 10 more, 10 years from now, every single person will be having a green drink as part of your daily routine.
Right.
Have to do it. Like it's.
And this is the good stuff.
Yeah. I really do think it's going that direction.
Okay. Moving on. This I thought you would be interested in or tickled by, which is that, did you hear about in the last few years, this sort of innovation in tattooing where you can get like a semi-permanent one where they fade in about...
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. So you can get like...
I'm very into that.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you'd be like pissed.
No, I am not one of those traditionalists who's like, oh, you gotta go through the pain and you gotta blah, blah, blah. It's fucking artwork on this skin suit that we're in for however many years.
Okay.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah, you don't need it to be a forever commitment.
Yeah, and I feel like it's more fun if it is something that is like permanent but I don't know. I like that.
Well, this company, they hired not tattoo artists, but like actual PhDs in chemistry to develop this ink.
Yeah.
And they were saying that the difficulty isn't with making it disappear. It's making it last sort of somewhat long and also be like this, the consistency that you need to create like a nice color and nice lines and all of that. So it was like a big deal. But they really hit a bit of a snag because they promised people that these would fade in 9 to 15 months. But then for some people, they're still there. People are getting pissed.
Well, that makes sense because I bet it has to do with metabolism.
Yeah. Metabolism or like wear on the body. So if it's further away from your heart.
Oh, for sure. Like
fades slower. Yeah. Like,
what?
Yeah, like if it's near the core, it fades faster. Yeah.
That is crazy to me.
Oh, you thought it was reverse or not?
Kinda.
Yeah. Must be about like blood.
I would think that an area that had a lot of cellular turnover, like your hands or elbows.
Yeah, like if you
because I know where mine are fading more. And it's places where my skin is drier.
That makes sense.
It feels like...
I see what you mean.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So it has more to do with your body absorbing it and breaking it down than the...
outer location.
Outside, like than the Yeah, than the elements or like your own, like it's not like sloughing off in the
Yeah.
way.
But I
Like,
think that's so
okay, I get
insightful
that.
because I didn't think about it, that part. That makes total sense that you would
Because
have
like if you're a
theorized that.
person who gets tattoos on your palm, you have to get those redone like
Right.
every few years or so.
Okay, well
Because
maybe
that
that's a
skin
different.
just sloughs off so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one lady has
Interesting.
one on her wrist and it's not getting faded it fast enough. But they said, don't worry, like the max is 3 years. So they are still semi-permanent, but like they really just should have worked on their promises and said like
Right. Okay.
it
3
really
years. I'm like,
varies.
you know what? And sometimes it's they undersell it. So I got my eyebrows microbladed
Mm.
and they told me that it would be like 2 to 3 years. It's been damn near 6 years and these things are still on there. And I just went and got my eyelashes, like I got a little eyelash lift, when they do
Yeah.
like they perm your eyelashes. It's so fantastic. So I don't have to wear makeup the whole time in Mexico. And she was like, man, you're whoever microbladed your brows did a really good job. Shout out to my friend Sarah. And she was like, I said, yeah, I got them done so long ago. She said, how long? It's like 6 years. And she's like, I can't believe those are still there. I've never seen ones that say it just has stayed.
They said another variable
I'm
too
glad.
is the tattoo artist. So like maybe yours had a particular method or style that
I love it.
Yeah, right.
Thank God.
It's not a good business model for that person.
Because right, I've done it twice, and the first time I did it, it only lasted about 2 years.
Okay, that's interesting.
I'm like,
I got to go to your girl.
Not going anywhere.
Okay, so anyway, I'm actually surprised at your answer because I thought that you were going to say like no regrets, like it was going to be like.
I'm not one of those.
You're not a purist.
No, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, because that was your whole logic about getting tattoos. You're like, by the time I want to remove them, it'll be easy.
No problem. Do it on your lunch break. It's practically the case already.
They should make like, those coloring books or whatever that. Like, I would love it if they could do a coloring book tattoo thing and then like you could like color it in.
Yeah. I love this. I used to do that to the section that I still have yet to finish. And whenever I was on the bus at camp, I would just give the kids my arm and give them like Crayola washable markers, and they'd color them in.
That hasn't become like more of a thing because that would
like
be
if
real
you were
fun.
a parent, you're like, color my arm. Here you go.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
problem.
Just kicking around ideas. Okay. In the Washington Post, there was this article. The title drew me in. A woman made chili for neighbors, and outrage ensued. Was she wrong? I was like,
was it
we'll
poison?
Be the judge of that. Yeah, right. Was she a very bad cook?
Right.
Because I thought,
how would chaos ensue and drama and what could have possibly go wrong with? I mean,
so much,
so much
beans. I think that the true crime here was not making chili for her neighbors. It was announcing it on social media. Like that is just an invitation for opinions, and what good can come from that? But I think it was particularly on Twitter. Okay. Like if you put out a tweet, it can always end up being some sort of big cultural debate. Why is she tweeting about her
neighborhood chili though?
I think it seems her intention was just like fun, where she noticed that these guys that lived in her apartment building, they were like young guys, kept getting pizza delivered, and she was like, they need some home cooking and I'm going to make them chili. And she thought it was just kind of a fun thing to do. Right. Sarah, right. You're right. People were like, don't infantilize men. Like they should learn how to take care of themselves.
This is what is wrong with everything.
Everything.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, and it wasn't just that. Some people said she was coddling them. She was encouraging man-child behavior. She was a white savior. I don't even know what color any of these people are.
Because you offer somebody chili, that feels like friendly and neighborly.
Some people said she was imposing and presumptuous, and
they wanted chili. Oh,
did she ask if they have any allergies? I swear.
Oh my fucking! What? Oh.
Correct. Yeah.
Where do I begin?
What Okay. It kind of brings me to the bigger question that comedians do about like, you can't make a joke anymore because everybody blah, blah, blah. The truth is like people have always had terrible opinions and it's just that now we have to like hear them.
Here's what's happened.
Yeah.
We have switched our attention from intention to impact. We have switched our awareness or our focus from intention to impact.
Right.
We are not focusing on what was the intention behind this?
Yeah.
What is this person trying to do? Could you imagine? I always liked to play the game. What would their therapist tell them if they took this to therapy? And if anybody took it to therapy of like, oh, my neighbor came over with a pot of chili and they did not even ask me if I had any allergy or da-da-da. What would that therapist say? I'll tell you. Well, what do you think do you think the neighbor had bad intentions or what do you think the neighbor may be? Let's increase some empathy. What do you think the neighbor may be trying to do with this chili? Could we think about, were they trying to
be neighborly?
God.
Yeah.
And then also like if they were cookies would be this up in arms would oh my God, I can't even talk. I'm glitching. Would we be this up in arms about cookies, about Rice Krispie treats, about zucchini bread? Where is it chicken noodle soup? Like what is the fucking problem? I'm sorry. Am I not understanding this?
No, you're right. And so the Washington Post really wasn't trying to weigh in even about like, should she have done that? They were just saying, okay, since everyone's all worked up, let's list some ways that you can do things and be thoughtful. So they're asking like, do people cook for neighbors? And if you do, what do you do? So it's like, ask before cooking if you can. Okay, fine. Give home cooked food without expectation. So you give it to them and then you don't think
that's
like whatever.
It. You give it and there's the expectation of they can do whatever the hell they want with it. If they want to throw it in the garbage, they can.
And that's the next point is if you're the recipient, then you accept it graciously.
Right.
Period. You could toss it in the trash, but you just say, well, thanks so much for thinking of me.
Yes. I have the same policy with my friends who we exchange, like, hey, this doesn't fit me anymore. I don't like these pants anymore. And you give them a pile of your clothes, whatevs. It's like, I am giving it to you with the expectation you can then throw every single one of those things in the garbage.
Sure.
You can give it to Goodwill. You can give it to another friend. You can fucking sell it on Poshmark for all I care. You could do whatever. It is now in your hands. If I make you a batch of cookies, you can fucking, I don't know.
Give it to the birds.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Feed it to your dog.
It does.
I hope you don't because they're real good cookies, but
it sort of spoke to the point that you were making too, that you know how people will give, like if there's a hurricane or something, they'll give like teddy bears and then they end up with mountains of teddy bears.
That I understand.
So it was saying like, yes, this is annoying and it does kind of create waste, but should we really like cut off that impulsive altruism? Maybe we should just be like, okay, that was a nice thought and their intention was in the right place. Now we got too many goddamn bears, but nice try.
Right. We're getting right. Ugh. But this is not a bunch of recycled teddy bears. This is very useful chili.
I know, right?
I mean,
I would love a big pot of chili showing up at my door.
And are these the readers of the tweet or the Facebook message or whatever that are commenting on this, or is this the actual recipient of said chili?
No, it was random tweet people.
See, it's always that. I bet the people who got the chili were like, sweet, free chili.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Especially like young men will eat anything.
Yeah. And if she sees them delivering like pizzas, like,
they would have loved that.
Do we just want to yuck everyone's yum?
Yeah, everyone's mad. And so that's how they release it now. And it's a real bummer.
Well, I hate that.
I hate it too. So they can suck it. And that neighbor sure was nice to even think of doing that.
Yeah.
Because, wow.
You know what? Your opinions on the chili, can it. The chili itself,
eat it.
Eat it.
Make it. Okay. On that note, something that everyone would be happy to receive is Kitsch hair care products, the scrunchies, the silk pillowcases.
I was going to see if I had anything within reach because I'm traveling, and I bring that silk pillowcase to every hotel.
Does. Have pillowcase will travel.
Yes. I think I even brought it when we did our staycation.
Yes, I feel like it's just a part of you.
It is. I mean, how do you think I'm keeping these long flowy locks? And my hair's growing longer. You know what else I got? The rice water shampoo and conditioner that's in a little bar, like the shampoo.
Oh yeah, what's the review? You were going to report back.
10 out of 10.
I knew it. That's
so
great.
Good. And I didn't know that's the ultimate travel hack.
Yes.
Don't ever worry about it exploding.
No bottles. This is such a better option.
No waste. Super cool. Check it out.
And in December, they had like an elf collab. They have great collabs, like the Barbie one.
Yes.
Like they always have the cutest collaborations.
Harry Potter. They have cute Harry Potter pillows. They have silk pillows for Harry Potter.
I just love it. But it's great for protecting your hair. Heatless rollers. Amazing stuff. Their prices are incredibly affordable too. So you'll get an even better deal with our stuff. Right now, Kitsch is offering you 25% off your entire order at mykitsch.com/braincandy. That's right, 25% off anything and everything at mykitsch, kitsch.com/braincandy. One more time, mykitsch.com/braincandy for 25% off your order. And now we have a guest. I interviewed a man who is a doll named Jon Ward, and I wanted to interview him because he has a book out that for me really is relatable. And it's called Testimony: Inside the Evangelical Movement That Failed a Generation. And he grew up like I did in the evangelical tradition. And then he's still a believer. He still identifies as a Christian, but he's become very disenchanted with particularly the political aspect of the evangelical movement and their association with Trump and the extreme right-wing stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that it's relatable on a bigger scale, the way that people are leaving their church of origin or their religion of their family because they don't like what they're seeing. And in some ways they feel like what they were taught growing up about right and wrong isn't being followed by the leaders that represent them now.
Totally.
And he's very thoughtful and pragmatic, and he writes in a way that he's fair. Like, he's just not saying these are a bunch of jerks, I hate their guts. He's saying like, man, I grew up and I believed, and now I don't know what to make of this because it no longer feels like it should.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're grappling with your faith or your religion and what it represents and how maybe society sees you because of it, I think you would enjoy the book. It's called Testimony again. And maybe
a lot of our listeners fall into that category.
Yeah. And I think if they listen to the interview, they'll relate to the way that he and I are grappling with the mixed feelings that we have about it all.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the show, Jon Ward, and check out his book, Testimony, if you are among the many disenfranchised, formerly religious people. Welcome, Jon. Jon Ward. I feel like you have one of those names, Jon Ward, where I have to say the whole name. Do people do that to you all the time?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like
That's
the one
so
syllable
weird.
thing, right? Because it's
I
one
guess
syllable.
so. I've often wondered, like, why do people do that? And I guess it's just the way it sounds, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like it feels incomplete. I have to do both. So you're Jon Ward today. I love your book with all my heart, Testimony: Inside the Evangelical Movement That Failed a Generation. I mean, it's something special. How do you feel about having written it?
Yeah, I feel good. Honestly, it's been a while since it came out. It'll be a year in April. I was anticipating more of a backlash than I got. I think in retrospect, part of the reason for the lack of that backlash, I guess, is because I did try pretty hard to be generous and gentle. I just finished reading another book about evangelicals by a fellow journalist who is also a pastor's kid, Tim Alberta, who writes for The Atlantic, whose profile of, CNN CEO Chris Licht, got him to resign.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah. So, that book is a little bit more like an Elijah take on evangelicals, like calling down fire.
Were you tempted to do that at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think my first draft was angrier. And I kind of went back through it and I got some feedback from some people. And I definitely took out some of the sharper edges, but without trying to take out, the essence of what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciated that. That was something that really felt good to me, because if you're anything like me, even though I've left the fold, I have great affection for much of the tradition and my experiences and the people that I knew and love. And so there is, you even said in the book, like there is this sort of temptation to characterize evangelicals as a whole as these buffoons and, whatever. And it's not. You did such a good job of explaining why the tradition is even appealing and what it provides to people. I mean, that was very generous of you.
Well, I was thinking about this just in the last day or so, that for a few years, my early 20s, I was essentially kind of a pastor. That wasn't my title, but I was given responsibility for a small group of about, 20 people. And we had meetings every week, or I think every week, in somebody's house. And they were essentially church meetings. So I was kind of the pastor of that group, in a sense. And I think part of what I learned, I hadn't really thought about this till now, part of what I learned from that experience is something about like how people respond to feedback. And generally feedback that is coming from a place of sort of superiority or perceived superiority or self-righteousness. It can be harsh. It can be negative. That feedback is not usually very well received. And I think a lot of what makes criticism or critique or feedback effective is that you have to work very hard to come alongside someone, and speak with them, and understand their perspective.
Yeah, I always talk about how, like, if you're in a fight, like even with your spouse or anybody, you really do have to consider what is my desired outcome. If my desired outcome is to like really hurt this person, then I'm going to approach it in a different way than if I want to develop trust or persuade someone. And I know, because I changed my entire worldview and politics, that the only way that happened was because people were kind and open to listening and just being nice and having a dialogue. And so I suppose, did you feel like you had to decide, like, what was your intention when you wrote it?
Yeah, just to finish that thought before I answer that, I mean, I think I've always been pragmatic in the way that I think about ideas and influence. And I think there's two ways to change somebody's mind or to get them to do something different. There's persuasion and then there's coercion. And you can make people change through coercion. It's just not going to be very pleasant for anyone involved. And I don't think it's ethically right. But, and I think, God has something to say about that. My intent, I don't know. I mean, I had probably a couple. One would be that I always wanted to write about the way I was raised for a long time, and had planned on doing some kind of book project about it. And then it just was the right time and the right moment, the right kind of set of circumstances, the right set of themes, I saw that my story had become relevant to a larger story. So that was part of it. And then I don't know if this was my intent, but certainly the act of writing it was like very helpful in sort of excavating and understanding my own story, and sort of working through parts of it, and I do think that that's a really healthy thing for everyone to do in some form, and probably numerous times throughout your life, maybe every 5 to 10 years, would be to just sort of take some time to maybe it's to have a formal, way. It could be through conversation with a friend. It could be through writing, other, ways of doing it, I'm sure. But to kind of think through, therapy is another, I think, place that this can happen, but think through, the experiences you've had in your life, the ways that you've come to think what you think, sort of examining, how do we end up believing what we believe, I think is very, very, very important. And something that came up in this book that I just mentioned, Tim's book, I really like the way that one of the people he spoke to said it, which is that he and others have been challenging their upbringing with their upbringing.
Right, totally. Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. And I'm already thinking about like, okay, how do I need to prepare myself? And in what ways is it going to emerge that my children will do this to me, and Allie in my life? So
I wanted to ask you that about parenting, because you kind of touched on it a bit, but I'm kind of jealous of the tools that my mom in particular had, where there was this black and white dualistic worldview where it was like good and bad. And she would just say, God said certain things. And so who am I to God said, I got to do it. I don't have that in my parenting toolbox. It's much more nuanced and gray, which can be difficult as a parent. It would be really nice to be like, this is wrong. You can't do it because God said. Does that ever feel like that to you?
I think we parented a little bit like that in the early days. Our oldest is 16. And I think we have been on a journey over the last, 20 years.
Right.
And so I think we've been pulling some of that stuff out. And so it does leave you feeling more probably like a failure at times when you can't give an easy answer, or you can't sort of direct in certain ways. But I think if you really look at the outcomes from that method of parenting, like kids who have gone through it,
right,
the median outcome is not usually that great. And so honestly, like I look at people who have been raised in other faith traditions or in no faith tradition at all, and you're like, those people turned out to be really good humans.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of evidence in support of taking a less dogmatic approach, less controlling approach to parenthood.
Yeah, maybe in the long haul it pays off. Let's hope so. I'm crossing my fingers over here, Jon Ward. I was wondering, because I have a family who is still very conservative. Do you ever have the feeling that I do where, and okay, so I don't know if you know the background, but my co-host and I were on MTV's The Real World and The Challenge and Road Rules. And I was cast when I was 18 as this virginal Christian, the type they used to have back in the back before everyone just started drinking all the time.
Often from Texas or the South, but sometimes.
Right. Well, and I was cracking up about how, like, even when I pick up a book, like you're like within the first page of the foreword, I think we're talking about Sean Duffy he was from The Real World.
Yeah.
We're everywhere.
Did you ever cross paths with him?
Yeah. And Rachel, and they're very nice, people.
Yeah.
But we don't agree.
Yeah, I met them both actually at the one of the conventions, probably 2016. Yeah.
Were they nice to you?
Yeah, they were great.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. And I mean, I have this feeling like I'm letting down, because I was put on television as an example of a model of evangelical young people. And now I feel like I've betrayed them. Do you ever feel like that?
I don't think you've betrayed anybody. I mean, I think betrayal is a relational thing. There can be ways which we can betray people, betray their trust. But your relationship with faith and with ultimate reality, like that's not a contract that you've entered with other people. That's between you and God,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also share your feeling, though, that of being let down by the church, and you describe it's a lot of it through the lens of like the Trump movement and everything. And did you feel, as I did, this sense of like, I guess I want to know, do you think, let's say, whenever there was a focus on Bill Clinton's moral, code or whatever, that they were being dishonest about caring about that, or that they just changed their mind?
Oh, I don't think people were being dishonest in the 90s. I don't think they're being dishonest now. I think people are generally like pretty, I mean, it depends who we're talking about. Are we talking about like,
that idea where
like leaders at the national level, or are we talking about people in the churches and the pews?
The leaders.
Yeah, I think it was pretty easy to be sincere in the 90s with Clinton about that, because it was sort of on brand. I think there's been a lot more need for these leaders to sort of deceive themselves with Trump. But I worked for Tucker Carlson. I got to know him pretty well, and to watch, sort of his evolution has definitely sparked a lot of conversation among me and others who have worked for him about like what happened. Like, does he believe any of this, right? Like this sort of thing. And I do think like there are elements, there's complex mixtures of self-deception, the ways that our incentive structures, like what interests us, what benefits us, can lead us to sort of unwittingly convince ourselves of things that might not be true. And then just pure cynicism is always probably part of the mixture as well.
And a means justify the ends type of thing, where if they're the outcome, like, the Supreme Court, is it so important that it was worth not caring about Trump's personal failings? Yeah.
Although, just to fixate on that point about judges and abortion, like to go back to Tim's book again, like he went through the stats, and there are more abortions in America post Roe than there were before it was overturned.
How do you think that they reconcile that?
I think, yes, it's such a good question. Most people just stop there and they don't ask that question. And I think the way that sort of the average evangelical would respond to that would be to say, well, we got to keep going. We've got, without actually stopping and saying, well, hold on, what are all the compromises we've made to get to this point, to overturn Roe? Like, what have we sacrificed in pursuit of that? And is it worth it? Rather than just like doubling down and saying, let's keep going, let's keep getting, more judges, confirmed to federal courts, and let's keep getting more control of more state legislatures, that's sort of, I think, where a lot of people's minds go.
Maybe this is too fraught, but do you think that there is amongst the leaders a genuine concern about the unborn, or do you think there's something else at the foundation of that, like power structures, within families and society and things like that, hierarchies?
I think a lot of times it can be both.
Yeah.
It's definitely a very sincere and understandable position to be opposed to abortion. I mean, look, if you look at the polling of most Americans, There are large numbers. I haven't looked at it recently, so I don't want to make too definitive a statement here, but like there are large numbers of Americans who are either opposed or uncomfortable to abortions somewhere in the pregnancy. You know, many times it's after the first trimester, sometimes it's at midway through the second, but like there's a lot of discomfort and outright opposition to abortion at some point in the pregnancy. And so, you know, like it's a morally fraught topic, right? Obviously. And so I think a lot of these leaders come from a position of, you know, that's their personal view. And then they also have certainly since the late 1970s, like the proof's in the pudding. It's been an incredible galvanizing and organizing like mechanism for the Republican Party.
That is